Inside the emotional breakdown of an aging narcissist with no supply, there comes a haunting question many victims whisper when the mask of charm finally slips. What happens when a narcissist ages? When the beauty, power, or status they once weaponized begins to fade, and the world no longer feeds them the validation they crave? To understand this, psychologists say we must first recognize one brutal truth. Narcissists don't mature out of their disorder. They don't grow up emotionally the way healthy adults do. As clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula emphasizes, narcissism doesn't soften with age. It calcifies. So the fantasy many partners hold, that with time, love, patience, or loyalty the narcissist will eventually become accountable or compassionate, is not only misleading, it is emotionally dangerous. Survivors often discover too late that waiting for change only deepens their wounds. Narcissists live on a psychological fuel researchers call narcissistic supply, a form of external validation so powerful they treat it as emotional oxygen. They cannot soothe themselves internally, cannot regulate self-worth independently, and cannot feel significant unless someone, somewhere is reflecting admiration, fear, desire, or envy back at them. Psychologists describe this as a deficit in internal self-structure, meaning the narcissist's self-esteem is not built from within, but borrowed from the world outside. This is why their compliments, achievements, and relationships are transactional. Everything exists to keep their ego alive. And as the years pass, something begins to shift. The very supply they depend on becomes harder to obtain. In the early years, their charm feels intoxicating. The new partner who laughs at their jokes, praises their intelligence, or admires their appearance becomes a powerful source of fuel. But over time, the novelty fades. What once made them feel powerful now feels ordinary, predictable. Psychologists refer to this as narcissistic habituation, the phenomenon where repeated validation loses emotional potency. So even if the partner says the same words, "You look amazing," "You're brilliant," the narcissist hears them differently. The praise no longer thrills them. It no longer hits the ego like dopamine. Yet when a stranger offers the same compliment, suddenly the narcissist lights up because novelty intensifies supply. This shift is not accidental, it is neurological. Research from the Journal of Personality Disorders explains that narcissists experience emotional validation like an addiction. The first dose feels powerful, but with time they need more and from new sources just to feel the same internal relief. And as they age, the pool of new supply begins to shrink. Looks fade, status declines. Their social power becomes less relevant in a world that rewards youth, innovation, and emotional intelligence, qualities the narcissist resents but desperately needs. This is where the cracks begin to appear. When the narcissist can no longer attract admiration effortlessly, when attention no longer arrives the second they snap their fingers, they enter what psychologists call narcissistic depletion. Internally, this phase feels like humiliation, terror, and rage all bleeding together. They become irritable, paranoid, competitive with younger people, and obsessed with reclaiming relevance. Some chase affairs, cosmetic procedures, or career reinvention. Others turn to manipulation, guilt-tripping, or emotional hostage-taking, especially toward the people closest to them. And this is where loved ones often feel the most emotional danger. As the narcissist's external validation options shrink, their demands intensify at home. They may become cruel, controlling, or accusatory, not because the partner changed, but because the narcissist is drowning in the emptiness they've spent their life avoiding. Psychologists warn that this often triggers self-sabotage or relational destruction, a desperate attempt to punish others for the narcissist's own internal decline. For the victim, this stage can feel suffocating. The person who once appeared confident now clings, criticizes, or collapses into victimhood, all depending on what keeps supply flowing. Survivors often experience anxiety, emotional fatigue, or trauma-bonded loyalty, believing they owe the narcissist stability, especially as age or fragility becomes part of the dynamic. But experts insist the opposite. The older the narcissist becomes, the more essential boundaries, therapy, emotional detachment, and self-preservation become. Because here is the psychological truth many don't want to face. When a narcissist ages and supply dries up, they do not become wiser. They become exposed. Without admiration, they are forced to confront the one reality they've spent their entire lives running from. Their identity without validation feels empty, and without control they feel insignificant. And that truth terrifies them. So if you are watching a narcissist age and unravel, understand, their decline is not punishment. It is the natural consequence of a lifetime built on external validation and internal emptiness. Their collapse is the echo of all the empathy they refused to cultivate, and all the love they demanded but never learned how to give. If you are the survivor in this story, let this be your turning point. Not into bitterness, but into clarity. Healing begins when you stop waiting for them to become someone they never had the capacity to be. And if these words helped you step into understanding instead of confusion, share them, because someone else is still trapped in hope, waiting for a change that psychology has already proven will never come. And here's where the story shifts into something even darker, something many psychologists call the legacy stage of narcissism. When an aging narcissist realizes their time, beauty, power, or influence is fading, they begin searching for something more enduring, a way to secure emotional dominance long after the room goes silent and their body weakens. This is where legacy becomes weaponized. Some narcissists begin rewriting family history, molding narratives where they were the backbone of everyone's success, the martyr who sacrificed, the misunderstood genius who nobody appreciated. According to clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula, this rewriting of reality is a powerful psychological defense called narcissistic revisionism, a way to protect their crumbling ego from confronting the truth, that much of their relationship history is built on control, fear, and emotional manipulation rather than love. For the victim, especially adult children, this becomes confusing and emotionally triggering because now the narcissist isn't just demanding attention, they're demanding legacy loyalty. One of the most effective strategies victims can use here is emotional detachment and boundary-based communication. Brief, controlled, and without emotional fuel. Because with a narcissist at this stage, truth won't heal them, but silence may protect you. As the internal panic rises and the facade of grandiosity becomes harder to maintain, a psychological phenomenon appears. Narcissistic despair masked as rage. The narcissist may begin lashing out unpredictably, creating emotional chaos because chaos gives them a sense of power. Psychologists explain that this chaos serves as a distraction, because if everyone else is emotionally unsteady, nobody notices the narcissist's private terror, the terror of becoming irrelevant. Victims often report that this stage feels like walking on emotional landmines, where even neutral comments get twisted into insults or attacks. The narcissist may accuse family members of abandonment, disrespect, or betrayal, all while refusing to acknowledge their own pattern of emotional harm. The most effective protection during this stage is emotional disengagement and validation from safe external sources, such as therapy, support groups, or trusted allies, because the narcissist will attempt to isolate or guilt you to regain emotional control. Then comes the survival strategy, manipulating vulnerability. An aging narcissist may suddenly begin acting helpless, frail, or emotionally wounded, not because they are looking for connection, but because dependency becomes their new form of coercive control. In psychology, this is called vulnerable narcissism, where the narcissist disguises manipulation as fragility. They may guilt their children into caretaking roles or attempt to make others feel obligated to invest time, money, or emotional labor. Victims often feel trapped because the narcissist uses societal expectations, especially those around honoring parents or caretaking the elderly, as psychological weapons. To protect themselves, victims must learn the power of controlled empathy, compassion without self-sacrifice, and create boundaries that separate moral responsibility from emotional enslavement. And yet, one of the most disturbing behaviors emerges when the narcissist sees a younger generation, especially grandchildren, becoming their new emotional resource. Grandchildren become supply because they are impressionable, forgiving, and easily enchanted by gifts, praise, and attention. To a narcissist, this is an opportunity to rewrite their emotional narrative. I wasn't a bad parent. My child was ungrateful. Psychologists call this tactic generational triangulation, where love becomes a strategic chess game rather than a genuine emotional bond. The narcissist gains supply from the admiration of the grandchildren while simultaneously inflicting emotional wounds on their own children, who are forced to watch history repeat. The best response for victims in this triangular dynamic is proactive education, gently teaching children emotional awareness, empathy, and boundaries without bashing or villainizing the narcissist directly, which only strengthens the narcissist's narrative of persecution. In the final psychological stage, some aging narcissists realize, consciously or unconsciously, that their life has become a monument to conflict rather than connection. And rather than seeking healing, accountability, or reconciliation, they double down. They cling to resentment like oxygen. Their identity becomes built around the belief that the world wronged them. This is what psychologists refer to as narcissistic collapse with rigidity, the point where adaptation becomes impossible because vulnerability feels more dangerous than decay. Victims witnessing this often grieve, not the narcissist themselves, but the fantasy that the narcissist would someday apologize, change, or finally love them in a healthy way. The path to recovery begins when victims surrender the illusion of who the narcissist could be and finally accept who they are. Healing only becomes possible when emotional closure comes from within, not from waiting for the narcissist to provide something they were never capable of giving. Because here's the truth: painful, heavy, and liberating. When a narcissist runs out of supply, they don't finally grow, soften, or become wise. They simply change tactics. But you, the survivor, have a choice the narcissist never will. You can evolve. You can heal. You can break the cycle. And when you do, their power ends not because they changed, but because you finally did. Healing is a journey, not a single moment. So if today's message helped you understand, grow, or feel seen, please like this video, comment your experience, and subscribe so you don't walk this journey alone. Your story matters. Your recovery matters. And you deserve peace.